Hello, here's my second video. I don't know if I'm just gonna keep fucking counting down the numbers of videos I've made, but this is my second one. As you can see from the caption, it's about how people can only meet you as deeply as they've met themselves. I'm quite ill, so excuse me. No cuts, so if you hear any coughing, I'm gonna try my best to not do any sneezing or anything too rogue to knock you sick. But yeah, I'm just gonna get straight into it. When it comes to that specific topic, it's something that took me a minute to adjust to. I used to take it to big offence when people would misunderstand me. A big reason for that is when you grow up in a certain environment that makes you feel not the most welcome. You end up living within a lot. Living within forces you into a certain depth at a young age that a lot of people who don't know what I'm talking about wouldn't have felt the same way that people like myself and others would have felt like. This leads into your adulthood very heavily. People have very different priorities, goals and mindsets in relationships, and they won't work out if they haven't met themselves as deeply as you've met yourself. You'll have clashes in situations where you both will feel misunderstood. This isn't just a one-sided kind of scenario. This is a mutual misunderstanding between you two because you are simply not suitable. You both come from a different kind of environment and you're trying to change the way you are because of this now current situation. However, a big thing is that it won't change. As a person who feels more depth, you will try to mend and change the way you are because you're very either sympathetic or you want that validation or you feel like you have this necessity to save this person. And one thing I'll tell you is if you go through a relationship and you start seeing that it's not working out and it's getting to the point where you feel like more of a savior, trying to be the heroic person in the situation and keep the situation alive, it's not meant to be. And I feel like that's something that a lot of people really do walk past. People think that go back until you hate them, go back until you shouldn't get to the point of feeling such despise towards a person just because you two don't align. There's a lot of reasons why relationships can end. However, making a situation that's simple misunderstanding and being from different backgrounds and from different traumas and different mindsets can easily be resolved with the sheer fact of self-reflection and trying to do the best that you can to approach the situation next. This leads on to my point of, as a person who, if you've been raised in a situation that's quite unique to others, it's not the same as other people, sometimes you'll find it hard to connect, sometimes you'll connect with people brilliantly, but there'll always be some kind of disconnect in your relationships, whether it is that you open up too quick and then people use that against you, or whatever it is, or you never open up and you never manage to get past that stage. Whatever that issue is, you need to start coming to terms with the fact that you will not find it easy to connect and stop looking for depth in people that simply lack it and haven't reached that point in life yet. There's no way that you can rush someone's progress in life. There's no way that your existence is going to make someone feel any differently. You can influence a belief, but they won't ever feel it the way you do. It's just like religion. Religion is a multiple. It comes in multiples. There's multiple different gods, but they all identify as the same. However, everyone has their own interpretation. It's the same situation. Every person comes from a different side. Some people will say that they prayed to God and God heard them. Some people will say that they prayed to God and God didn't hear them. which leads to either their belief or lack of. And that's the same situation. Don't search for depth in someone that hasn't felt what you have felt, and stop trying to make them feel what you have felt, because it will only drain you and make you feel miserable and make you feel more misunderstood than you originally started. You have become the way you are due to the circumstances that you have faced, and they have become who they have become because of the circumstances that they have faced. And you can't forget that part, because sometimes you can get carried away in the fact that you've seen so much at such a young age, that you can get carried away in the feeling of being the all-knowing person in every room, and being the person that's a step ahead, that sometimes when you just need a bit of comfort, you turn to the wrong door and you wonder why it shuts out on you, and that will just further increase this trauma response within you that has made you so intelligent to begin with. I feel like that also leads to the point of then trying to force connection with certain people that, again, like I said, haven't met the depth that you have met. Sorry, and I feel like in those situations, you'll either, whether it's a stranger, a family member, a friend, a man, a woman, any of the in between, I feel like something that does go unheard of, you hear people mention it, but it's never really gone into depth with, is that people look for what is within them, whether that's faults or positives. What people call you is a reflection of what's within them. If someone has only met themselves to the ugliest parts, they will only see the ugly in you. If someone calls you cold and you question, well, I'm not cold, I've never thought of it that way, people will point that out due to this sufferable thing within them that believes that they are, or someone has called them that. People can only see as much as you have shown them. If you haven't shown them a certain behaviour, a certain feeling, or a certain act that leads them to believe something, they are influenced by their own awareness of life and their own reflection of life. If people pick at the way you look or the way you act, that's because they're deeply insecure themselves and would like to say it before you say it about them. People reflect and project feelings that are unresolved within them externally. Humans naturally have a way of taking in energy and expelling it. Certain people will take it in and then release it in a positive way. Maybe run, maybe, I don't know, write, do something, express it in some kind of passion, or, add something to life. And then you have the other chunk of people who will reflect negatively onto you. It is very important that you do not put this opinion above yourself. If you would not swap your life with them, then do not listen to them. If you would not swap your mind with them, do not listen to them. If you would not swap your heart with them, do not listen to them. If you would not swap skins with them, do not listen to them. And that is a very crucial point I want to make, because as people start to realise the depth that they are in and the depth that others lack in this world, you naturally feel very alienated and you feel very out of place and you don't feel like you fit in. It makes it harder to connect, and I feel like that's why I've made this a topic. And the more you understand what you're working with, the less you are to blame yourself and fall back onto previous traumas that made you believe that this was true. I feel like people very much do choose what they want to see in you when they haven't met themselves deeper yet. So when you reflect on yourself based off of what people have said, reflect from their eyes and not your own, because your own can be deceiving, because you know more about you than they know about you. If I wrote a book and I released it and I didn't tell you the background of a character, but I just knew it, you would never find out the background of that character. But either way, if I'm handing this book to someone who reads in between the lines, they'll figure it out anyways. But if I'm giving it to a person that's just reading the book to read it and skims past it all, they will never figure it out. And that's the difference between a surface level person and a deeper level person, and there's nothing wrong with either. Just don't make it as though there is. Because not everyone has spent time getting to know themselves, not everyone has had the time to, not everyone has had the push to. I believe I would have never pushed myself to get to know myself this much if it wasn't for how confined I was growing up. I was very much kept in and made to miss out on a lot of things that now I truly don't believe I really did miss out, only because now that I have experienced certain things, I don't really like them that much. But maybe I would have if I did experience them earlier, but I wouldn't trade the knowing of who I am for anything else. And you can't judge a person by the way that they feel towards you, as long as they're not aiming to hurt you, but realizing that how could they know you if they've never fully met themselves. And they say this when they say you can't love anyone before you love yourself, because it is factual in that matter, in the sense of you can love people, you definitely can. If you don't love yourself, you definitely can. Are you going to love them right though? That is where it gets sticky, because I, as a person, let's say if I'm in anxious attachment, I could love someone but love them too much and smother them. That's only going to lead to a downfall in the relationship. It's slowly going to go from something that was actually very good to something that became very controlling. Because I, however, have never looked within to fix this anxious attachment out of love for myself and out of healing to be able to love correctly. And I feel like that wraps up what I wanted to talk about. I hope this video finds whoever it needs to find. And I hope my voice isn't too annoying right now because I am quite ill. But thank you very much for your time and take care. Much love. I'll see you in the next video. Take care of yourself.